The vast chamber of the Galactic Council headquarters fell silent as the human delegation entered. Ambassador Kelly Porter walked steadily, despite the overwhelming pressure of thousands of alien eyes fixed upon her. The massive dome stretched hundreds of feet above, with curved walls displaying the infinite cosmos beyond. Thousands of alien representatives from across the galaxy occupied tiered seating arranged in a perfect circle. The air hummed with translation devices and the subtle movements of various species, some humanoid, others defying any terrestrial description. Kelly maintained her composure, though her heart raced beneath her formal blue uniform. Earth had only achieved faster than light travel 30 years ago, a mere blink in galactic terms. Most species represented here had been spacefaring for millennia, yet humanity now stood before the most powerful governing body in known space, requesting not admission, but intervention. The 7 High Counselors occupied an elevated platform at the center, each belonging to one of the founding species of the Galactic Alliance. Their massive forms towered over the human delegation. The lead counselor, Varric of the Novan species, leaned forward, his 4 eyes narrowing. "Ambassador Porter, we have reviewed your petition. It is most unusual," he stated, his voice resonating through the chamber. "Most species come before us seeking admission to the Galactic Alliance. Yet Earth requests our intervention in a matter that, by your own admission, has not yet occurred." Kelly nodded to her team of 5 humans who stood faithfully behind her. Unlike the other delegations who brought dozens of representatives, Earth had chosen a small, focused team, a calculated move to demonstrate efficiency and confidence. "We appreciate the Council's time," Kelly responded, her voice clear and unwavering. "Earth may be young in galactic terms, but our scientists have detected something the Alliance needs to know. The void current moving through Sector 7 of the Orion Arm is accelerating. We believe it will cause catastrophic damage to at least 17 inhabited systems within the next solar cycle." Murmurs erupted across the chamber. The void current. A mysterious dark energy flow had been considered a stable phenomenon for thousands of years. Many species had built civilizations around harnessing its power. "Impossible," called out a representative from the Zeridian Federation. "Your species has barely mastered warp technology. How could you possibly detect changes in the void current that our scientists with millennia of observation have missed?" Kelly activated a holographic display from her wrist device. "Our perspective is different precisely because we are newcomers. We observed the current without preconceptions. Our scientists noticed the acceleration pattern because they were measuring with fresh methodology." The display showed complex simulations of the void current, with highlighted regions indicating increasing energy densities. The central area of the current, once stable, now showed signs of turbulence and expansion. The High Counselor Alara of the crystalline luminar species leaned forward, her faceted body reflecting light across the chamber. "You claim 17 systems are at risk, Ambassador." "This is a bold assertion." "Exactly 17 systems," Kelly confirmed. "Our calculations are precise. These systems will experience total energy field collapse when the current shifts. We have prepared detailed reports on each system and the projected timeline." Another counselor, a massive gas-based entity contained within a specialized environment suit, spoke. "We have monitored the void current for 12,000 years. What you suggest contradicts established science." Kelly took a deep breath, knowing this moment would define humanity's place in galactic politics. "With respect, Counselor, established science once claimed Earth was flat. Progress comes from challenging assumptions, not defending them." The chamber erupted in a mixture of outrage and fascination. No junior species had ever addressed the Council with such directness. The head counselor raised his hand for silence. "Bold words," Ambassador Varric said, "but words alone do not change reality. What evidence supports your claim?" Kelly nodded to her science officer, Gregory Walsh, who stepped forward and expanded the holographic display. The simulation now showed a detailed analysis of subspace particles flowing through the current. "These are readings taken over the past 15 Earth years," Walsh explained. "We detected subtle changes in the quantum resonance patterns of the current. The shifts are exponential, not linear. Most monitoring systems are calibrated for linear changes, which is why they haven't. Triggered warnings. The council chamber grew quiet as the alien representatives studied the data. Many used personal devices to analyze the information. The 7 high counselors conferred among themselves in hushed tones. Kelly could feel the momentum shifting. The human delegation had prepared for months for this moment. They knew that being taken seriously required more than just data. It required a solution. Ambassador Porter. If what you claim is accurate, what do you propose? The council asked. Ilaara, her crystalline form shimmering with internal light. Kelly activated another hologram. This one showed a network of specialized devices positioned throughout the void current. The council has the resources and technology to deploy quantum stabilizers at these coordinates. They would create a dampening field to gradually slow the current back to its normal flow pattern, preventing catastrophic shifts. The lead scientist from the Zeridian delegation approached the display, studying it intently. The technology is theoretically sound, but the scale required would be enormous. He admitted reluctantly. Kelly nodded. We are prepared to contribute. Earth has developed miniaturized quantum field generators that could serve as the core components of the stabilizers. We offer this technology freely to the Council. This was humanity's true strategy. The quantum field generators were valuable beyond measure. The technology had taken Earth 15 years to perfect and would normally be closely guarded. But Kelly knew that offering it freely would establish Earth as a contributor to galactic civilization, not merely a beneficiary. The High Counselors were visibly surprised by the offer. Most new species jealously protected their technological advantages, seeking to leverage them for political gain. A species willingly sharing advanced technology was unprecedented. Counselor Varric studied Kelly carefully. What does Earth seek in return? Ambassador. Nothing. Kelly replied simply. We share this galaxy. Our survival is linked with yours. We offer what we can contribute. The council chamber erupted again. Alien representatives turning to each other in animated discussion. The concept of offering assistance without expectation of return was foreign to many galactic political traditions which had evolved around complex systems of debt and obligation. The ancient Dralid representative, a species known for their cynical pragmatism, rose from his seat. This is clearly a ploy. The humans offer this gift to distract us from their true intentions. No species acts without self-interest. Kelly met his gaze steadily. With respect, Elder Dralid humanity has faced extinction-level events throughout our history. We learned that cooperation is not weakness, but strength. We survived because we worked together, not because we stood alone. The human delegation remained calm as the council debated. The 7 high counselors engaged in intense discussion, while representatives from hundreds of worlds calculated how the situation might affect their interests. Finally, after what seemed like hours, Counselor Varric raised his hand for silence. The council will investigate the human claims regarding the void current, he announced. If their data proves accurate, we will implement the suggested stabilization plan, and we accept Earth's offer of quantum field generation technology with gratitude. Kelly felt a wave of relief, but maintained her professional demeanor. This was only the beginning. Earth would now have to deliver on its promises. As the human delegation was escorted to their assigned quarters, within the massive council station, Kelly received messages from Earth government. The first phase had succeeded. They had gained the council's attention and established humanity as a serious participant in galactic affairs. Gregory approached her once they were alone. That went better than expected, he said. The council actually listened. Kelly nodded. We gave them no choice. Our data is sound, and our solution viable. We came as equals, not supplicants. That made all the difference. But what happens when they realize the full capabilities of the quantum field generators? Asked Diane Evans, the delegation's strategic advisor. Those generators can do far more than stabilize the void. Current Kelly looked out the viewport at the countless stars beyond. Each represented potential friends, allies, or adversaries in a cosmos, Humanity was just beginning to understand. They will realize eventually that the technology has military applications, she admitted. But by then they'll also understand that we could have kept it secret. We chose to share it. That builds trust, and trust is what humanity needs most right now. The delegation settled into their quarters knowing that the real work was just beginning. The Galactic Council would scrutinize their data, verify their claims, and test their technology. Earth had made its entrance onto the galactic stage, not as a minor player, but as a species to be reckoned with. Tomorrow the real negotiations would begin. The Council would want to know more about humanity, about Earth and its intentions. Representatives from dozens of species would seek private meetings trying to gauge this new potential ally or threat. Kelly had prepared for this moment her entire diplomatic career. Earth stands ready, she thought. Watching the stars, we are few, but we are determined, and unlike many in this council. The massive holographic displays surrounding the council chamber flickered with images of devastation. Planetary defense systems failing, atmosphere processors shutting down, and orbital habitats spiraling into decay. Ambassador Laurel Hayes stood, firm as the evidence she presented sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. The immense chamber with its thousands of alien representatives fell into stunned silence. "What you are witnessing is not speculation," growled High Counselor Drax, his scaled form tensing visibly. "These are real-time feeds from the Proxima Centauri system." Laurel nodded solemnly. "We tried to warn you 3 months ago when our deep space monitors detected the quantum signature of the harvesters." The Council dismissed our findings as the paranoia of a young species. The 7 High Counselors exchanged troubled glances. In their 50,000 years of governing interstellar affairs, they had never faced such a rapidly developing threat. The harvesters, a machine, race thought extinct for millennia, had suddenly returned. Their massive world ships were consuming entire planets, stripping them of resources and leaving dead husks behind. "This is impossible," stated Counselor Vela, her luminous form pulsating with agitation. "The harvesters were defeated by the Ancient Alliance. They have not been seen in 20,000 years. Laurel gestured to her science officer, Adam Rivera, who expanded the holographic display to show the distinctive energy signature of the harvester vessels. "We believe they were dormant, not defeated," she explained. "They appear to have been hiding in the dark space between galaxies, conserving energy, and now they have returned." The council chamber erupted in panicked discussions. Representatives from over 3,000 worlds all speaking at once. The noise became deafening until High Counselor Drax slammed his massive fist against the central podium. "Silence," he demanded. "We must address this crisis with clear minds, not panic." He turned to the human delegation. "Ambassador Hayes, your species detected this threat before our most advanced monitoring systems. How is this possible?" Laurel exchanged glances with her team. Earth had been part of the galactic community for only 5 years, a mere infant compared to civilizations that spanned millennia. Yet in that short time, humans had proven themselves unusually adaptive and innovative. "Our quantum detection arrays use an unconventional approach," she explained. "While most systems in the galaxy scan for energy emissions, we designed ours to detect absences, voids in the quantum field. The harvesters create such voids as they consume energy. It's not what they emit, but what they absorb, that makes them visible to our technology." Counselor Zorn of the methane-breathing Paldorians leaned forward accusingly. "Why did Earth not share this detection technology with the Council?" Adam Rivera stepped forward. "We attempted to 3 times, sir. Our proposals were rejected by the Technology Assessment Committee as unnecessary and redundant given existing galactic systems." The council chamber grew uncomfortably quiet. Many representatives looked away in embarrassment. The Galactic Council's bureaucracy was notoriously resistant to innovations from younger species, believing that their ancient technologies were superior by default. High Counselor Drax turned to his colleagues. "We have erred." He then faced the human delegation. "Your warnings were dismissed. I offer the Council's formal apology. Now, we must act." "What does Earth propose?" Laurel activated a new holographic display showing a detailed tactical plan. We have developed a potential countermeasure. However, it will require coordinated effort from multiple species. Our ships alone cannot implement it. The display showed a network of specialized satellites positioned around vulnerable star systems. The satellites generated overlapping fields that together created a detection grid capable of tracking the harvester's movement. The harvesters use quantum displacement to appear seemingly out of nowhere, Laurel explained. This grid would give us advance warning of their approach, but more importantly, it could be modified to disrupt their harvesting technology. The 7 High Counselors studied the plan with intensity. The chief military advisor to the council, a veteran commander from the warrior Krogan species, approached the display. This deployment would require thousands of vessels, he noted, and the technology itself must be manufactured. Quickly could Earth provide the specifications? Laurel nodded. We brought complete technical schematics, and we have already begun production. Earth can supply 20% of the required units within 2 weeks. The council members exchanged impressed glances. No formal request had been made, yet Earth had already begun preparations demonstrating initiative rarely seen among council races. High Counselor Vela addressed the chamber. The council will need to vote on implementing this human defense strategy. As is tradition, each representative will have opportunity to speak. Laurel stepped forward. With respect, Counselor, she said firmly, time is our enemy. The harvesters have already consumed 3 outer rim worlds. Their fleet is growing stronger with each system they absorb. While the council debates billions more will die, the chamber erupted again. Some representatives shouted support for immediate action. Others insisted on following proper protocols that had governed council decisions for millennia. Laurel watched the chaos with growing frustration. This was the fundamental weakness of the Galactic Council, their rigid adherence to tradition and procedure, even in the face of extinction. Adam leaned close to her ear. The Artaxian representative is trying to get your attention, he whispered. Laurel glanced toward the delegation from Artax, a highly respected elder race known for their wisdom. The Artaxian representative made a subtle gesture indicating a private communication channel, activating her neural implant. Laurel opened the secure channel. Ambassador Hayes, the Artaxian, said, his thoughts flowing directly into her mind. There is another way. The emergency response clause has not been invoked in 12,000 years, but it exists precisely for threats of this magnitude. It allows the council to temporarily suspend normal procedures. Laurel nodded slightly in acknowledgement. Thank you, Elder. She responded through the link. She stepped forward again, addressing the full council. I invoke the emergency response clause under Section 7 of the Galactic Charter. She announced, her voice cutting through the chamber. This threat constitutes a Class 1 extinction-level event requiring immediate unified action. Chamber fell silent. Every representative knew of the clause, but none had heard it invoked in living memory. It was a provision created during the founding of the Council, a safeguard against existential threats. High Counselor Drax stared at Laurel in astonishment. How does a human ambassador know of this ancient provision, he asked. The Artaxian representative rose slowly, his ancient form commanding immediate respect. Because I informed her, Counselor. The humans have proven their value. Their world detected this threat when our systems failed. We would be fools to ignore their counsel now. For several tense moments, the High Counselors conferred. Finally, Drax nodded. The emergency response clause is properly invoked. For the next 30 days, the Council will operate under emergency protocols. The human defense strategy will be implemented immediately. All available resources will be directed to this effort. Laurel felt a wave of relief, but knew this was only the beginning. The real work would start now. Coordinating thousands of ships from hundreds of species, many of whom had historical conflicts with each other, would be a diplomatic nightmare. But it had to be done. As the Council began issuing emergency directives, Laurel and her team were escorted to the Strategic Command Center deep within the Council station. There they would help coordinate the massive defense effort. Adam walked beside her. That was bold, he said, invoking a clause even most council members had forgotten existed. Laurel watched as the massive galactic defense machine slowly rumbled to life. "Sometimes the oldest tools are the most effective," she replied. "And sometimes it takes an outsider to remember what the insiders have forgotten." In the command center, representatives from the major military powers were already gathering. Technical experts studied the human designs, arguing over implementation details. Laurel noted with satisfaction that they were not questioning whether to use the Earth design, but how best to deploy it. The Krogan military commander approached Laurel. "Your species has existed in our community for only 5 years," he said, "yet you have devised a strategy that eluded our best minds. How is this possible?" Laurel considered her words carefully, knowing her response would shape perceptions of humanity. "Humans have spent most of our history fighting each other," she explained. "We developed technology to detect threats, not because we were wiser than other species, but because we were more afraid. We expected enemies everywhere, so we built systems to find them. Now that fear serves all of us." The commander nodded slowly. "There is wisdom in acknowledging that weakness can become strength." Over the next several hours, Laurel watched as the galactic community mobilized. Ships from 1,000 worlds were diverted to defensive positions. Manufacturing centers across 20 systems began producing the specialized satellites Earth had designed. The Council, traditionally slow to act, was moving with unprecedented speed. Laurel received a private communication from Earth government. The message was brief, but clear. "Well done, Ambassador. You have secured Earth's place in galactic affairs. The technology sharing will open doors previously closed to us." The cavernous council chamber vibrated with tension as Ambassador Natalie Reed stood alone at the central podium. Her small human form seemed insignificant amidst the towering architecture designed to intimidate and impress. Thousands of alien representatives watched from tiered seating that spiraled upward for hundreds of meters. 3-dimensional holograms allowed species with unique environmental needs to participate from their ships or specialized habitats. The full Galactic Council rarely convened in person, but today was different. Today humanity stood accused. "Ambassador Reed, you have been summoned to answer for your species' actions," said High Counselor Thrix, his massive insectoid form looming over the central platform. "We have evidence that Earth has been developing forbidden technology in direct violation of the Galactic Charter." Natalie maintained perfect composure despite the hostile atmosphere. The 7 High Counselors, each representing one of the founding species of the Galactic Union, regarded her with expressions ranging from disappointment to thinly veiled contempt. At stake was not just a diplomatic incident, but potentially Earth's entire standing in the galactic community. "With respect, Counselor Earth has violated no provision of the Charter," Natalie replied, her voice calm and measured. "We request to see the evidence against us." The central holographic display activated, showing detailed scans of an Earth research facility located on Mars. Magnified images revealed complex machinery and energy readings that pulsed with an unmistakable pattern. "Our monitoring satellites detected quantum resonance patterns consistent with singularity manipulation technology," stated Counselor Vox of the crystalline Tholian species. "Earth signed Treaty 7293 explicitly prohibiting research into artificial singularities after joining the Galactic Union 3 years ago. Yet these readings were captured just 20 days ago." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many species recalled the cataclysm of Deneb, where an artificial singularity had destroyed an entire star system, killing billions. The resulting laws against such research were among the most strictly enforced in galactic law. Natalie studied the readings. "Carefully, I request permission to consult with my science advisor," she said. The High Council nodded, and Natalie turned to Dr. Eleanor Wright, who approached from the small human delegation. Each species was permitted only 5 representatives at formal hearings, another tradition designed to disadvantage newcomers to the galactic stage. Dr. Wright examined the readings, her face revealing nothing. "This facility is indeed ours, Ambassador," she said quietly. "But these readings have been misinterpreted." Natalie turned back to the Council. "The facility shown is a research station on Mars," she confirmed, "but it is not conducting research into artificial singularities. The energy pattern you detected is similar, but fundamentally different." The council members exchanged skeptical glances. An identical claim was made by the Proxians before the cataclysm, noted Councillor Thrix. We cannot risk another such disaster. Permission to present our evidence. Natalie requested. After a brief conference, the council granted approval. Natalie activated her own data device, projecting a new holographic display. The image showed the same facility, but with detailed schematics and energy flow patterns. Dr. Wright stepped forward to explain. What you're seeing is not singularity research but gravitational lensing technology. She stated, we are not creating or manipulating singularities but rather studying naturally occurring gravitational phenomena. The quantum resonance pattern appears similar because both involve warping spacetime. But our research cannot create the cascading effect that leads to artificial black holes. Several scientific advisors from various council species approached the display, studying the data with intense interest. The Tholian science representative, a respected physicist, spoke first. The human explanation is plausible. The harmonic patterns, while similar, show key differences in the phase variance. Not all were convinced. The representative from the militaristic Orion Confederacy rose from his seat. Even if this is true, humanity has repeatedly pushed the boundaries of permitted research. This pattern of behavior suggests a deliberate testing of council authority. Natalie faced this new challenge directly. Earth is a young spacefaring civilization, she acknowledged. We have much to learn about galactic protocols. However, our research has focused on solving problems, not creating weapons. The gravitational lensing technology you see has applications in detecting dark matter flows that threaten shipping lanes. It could save thousands of lives across multiple species. High Counselor Rana of the amphibious Axonar spoke for the first time. Your explanation is logical, Ambassador Reed, but it does not address why Earth failed to register this research with the Science Oversight Committee as required by Charter Section 42. This was the true heart of the matter. Earth had conducted legitimate research but had failed to follow proper procedures. A minor bureaucratic oversight that the Council's more hawkish members were attempting to leverage into a major diplomatic incident. Natalie took a measured breath. Before responding to that charge, I request permission to present contextual information. The Council granted permission, though several members showed clear impatience. 3 months ago, Earth submitted 14 research proposals to the Science Oversight Committee. Natalie explained, activating a new display showing the submission records. All 14 were placed in administrative review. Despite multiple inquiries, no response was received. After 60 days with critical research delayed, we proceeded with the most urgently needed project. While continuing to seek approval, the administrative records confirmed her statement. The 14 Earth proposals remained listed as in review status, well beyond the 30-day response period guaranteed by the Charter Counselor. Thrix chittered in annoyance. The committee processes thousands of research proposals. A delay is not permission to proceed true. Natalie acknowledged, but Charter Section 42, which you cited, also states that member worlds have the right to expect timely review of proposals, especially those with safety applications. The dark matter detection capabilities. We were developing affect shipping lanes used by 17 species, not just humans. The chamber grew quiet as many representatives recognized the truth in her words. The Galactic Union's bureaucracy was notorious for delays, especially when reviewing proposals from newer member species. Earth had indeed followed proper channels initially. Ambassador Reed. You speak well for your species, said High Counselor Vox. But this incident highlights a concerning pattern. Earth has repeatedly acted independently since joining the Union. Your species seems unwilling to accept the established order. Natalie stood straighter now, sensing the real issue beneath the accusations. It was not about the research, but about Earth's refusal to simply take its assigned place at the bottom of the galactic hierarchy. We joined the Galactic Union believing in its stated principles of cooperation and mutual advancement. She replied, we contribute our quota of resources, participate in defense initiatives, and share our unique technological developments. What we cannot accept is artificial limitation. The chamber erupted in mixed reactions. Some representatives nodded in agreement while others expressed outrage at her directness. Natalie continued, "The Union's greatest. Strength should be diversity of approach, not uniformity of thought. Earth does not seek to disrupt, but to contribute. We followed your procedures until they failed to function as promised. Then we acted to solve a problem that affects many worlds, not just our own. Is that not the true spirit of the Charter?" The 7 High Counselors conferred privately for several minutes, their communication shielded from the rest of the chamber. Finally, Counselor Thrix addressed the assembly. "The Council finds that Earth has technically violated procedure but not the substance of our laws. A formal reprimand will be issued, but no sanctions will be imposed," he announced. Furthermore, the Science Oversight Committee will be directed to review its procedures, to ensure timely responses to all member worlds' research proposals. It was a diplomatic compromise. Earth would receive a symbolic reprimand, but had effectively won the larger point. The research would continue, and the bureaucratic process that had failed them would be reformed. As the formal hearing concluded, Natalie and her team were approached by representatives from several worlds. The Axanar delegate, an elder statesman with decades of council experience, spoke quietly. "You have made powerful enemies today, Ambassador," he warned. "The elder species do not appreciate being challenged, especially by newcomers." Natalie nodded in acknowledgement. "We did not come to the stars seeking conflict, Ambassador, but neither will we accept artificial constraints. Earth has much to learn from the galactic community, but perhaps we have things to teach as well." The Axanar studied her with ancient eyes. "Your species adapts quickly. That is both your greatest strength and what others fear most about you." After the delegates departed, Dr. Wright joined Natalie as they walked toward their assigned quarters within the massive council station. "That went better than expected," she said. "We made our point without burning too many bridges." Natalie wasn't so certain. "We won this round, but the underlying issue remains. The Council expects conformity and patience from new species. Earth offers innovation and initiative. That fundamental tension won't disappear with one hearing." Their diplomatic attaché, Alan Foster, approached. With a secure message from Earth government. Initial analysis of the hearing is positive, he reported. Earth standing with the Progressive Council. The massive doors of the Grand Council chamber parted, revealing a spectacle few humans had ever witnessed. Ambassador Julia Reeves hesitated briefly, overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the room that stretched before her. The circular chamber rose, hundreds of meters upward, its walls lined with thousands of observation platforms occupied by representatives from across the galaxy. Species of every conceivable form gathered to witness this unprecedented event. Some floated in specialized environmental bubbles, others appeared only as holographic projections from their ships. Above it all, the transparent dome revealed the breathtaking nebula that surrounded the Galactic Council headquarters. Julia squared her shoulders and led the small human delegation forward. Her heart pounded against her ribs, but her face revealed nothing. The 7 High Counselors, massive beings representing the founding species of the galactic community, watched from their elevated central platform. Their expressions ranged from curious to openly hostile. High Counselor Xanad of the crystalline luminary species spoke, her voice resonating through the chamber. "Ambassador Reeves of Earth, you have requested an emergency session of the Grand Council. Such a request has not been granted to a junior species in over 3,000 years. You claim to have information vital to the security of all civilized worlds. We will hear you." Julia activated the holographic projector she carried. The image that appeared above the central platform caused immediate murmurs throughout the chamber. It showed a star system with a red giant sun surrounded by 12 planets. But something was wrong. The star pulsed with unnatural patterns, its corona fluctuating in ways that defied stellar physics. "What you are seeing is the Antares system." Julia began, located 37 light-years from Earth. 3 weeks ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected these unusual energy patterns. We sent a research vessel to investigate, adjusted the hologram, which now showed close-up footage of the star surface. Massive structures were visible, enormous machines embedded directly into the star's photosphere, harnessing its energy in ways that distorted the natural stellar processes. Galactic Council erupted in alarm. Species with ancestral memory of ancient wars recognized the technology immediately. The 7 High Counselors conferred urgently their private communication system, shielding their discussion from the Assembly. High Counselor Drex, a massive reptilian being, leaned forward, his scales darkening in what Julia had learned was an expression of extreme concern. "You claim these are harvester machines," he stated, his voice grave. Julia nodded. "According to our historical database access, the technology matches the stellar harvesters created by the predecessors before their disappearance 40,000 years ago." The chamber fell silent. The predecessors were the stuff of legend, a species so advanced they had transcended physical form, leaving behind only their automated systems. Some of these systems still functioned throughout the galaxy, mysterious and untouchable ancient monuments protected by council law. But the harvesters were different. They were weapons created during the final wars before the predecessors ascended, designed to accelerate stellar evolution, forcing stars to produce rare elements by manipulating fusion processes. They had been thought destroyed or deactivated eons ago. Counselor Jen of the gaseous Velkin species pulsed with agitation. Impossible. The harvesters were deactivated by the First Council after the Ascension Wars. All known devices were located and neutralized. Dr. Marcus Turner, the leading human xenoarchaeologist, stepped forward from the delegation. "With respect, Counselor, the historical record states that 23 harvesters were neutralized. But the predecessor archives recovered from the Tau Ceti ruins mentioned 29 devices. 6 were never accounted for." His statement caused another wave of murmurs. The Tau Ceti ruins were among the most significant archaeological discoveries in recent galactic history. Earth scientists had been granted limited access only 5 years ago, after decades of diplomatic negotiation. That they had extracted and translated new information from the ancient data systems was remarkable. "How can we verify this claim?" demanded a representative from the Zondak Imperium, one of the more militaristic elder species. The predecessor language has defied complete translation for millennia. Yet humans claim to have decoded information our experts missed. Julia had anticipated this challenge. "Dr. Turner, if you please." The archaeologist activated his own data device. The hologram shifted to show complex mathematical symbols flowing in intricate patterns. "We didn't try to translate the language directly," he explained. "We approached it as a mathematical problem. The predecessors communicated through multidimensional equations. We created an adaptive algorithm that recognized patterns within the data structure." The chief science advisor to the council, an ancient Medusan whose species specialized in mathematics, approached the hologram, studying the equations with growing astonishment. "This approach is unlike any we've attempted," she admitted. "Their methodology is sound high." Counselor Zanat raised a crystalline appendage, silencing the chamber. "Why has Earth brought this matter to the full council?" she asked. "Why not submit your findings to the Science Directorate through standard protocols?" Julia met the counselor's gaze directly. "Because the harvester at Antares is active and accelerating the star's fusion process. Our astrophysicists project that it will trigger a hypernova event. Within 60 days, such an explosion would devastate neighboring systems, including 3 with council member worlds." The chamber erupted again. This claim went beyond concerning into terrifying. A hypernova could sterilize dozens of systems, destroying civilizations that had existed for thousands of years. The Orion representative stood from his platform. "The humans must be mistaken. Their science is primitive compared to elder species. The harvesters could accelerate stellar evolution, but could not trigger hypernova events." Dr. Elena Vasquez, the lead Earth astrophysicist, joined Dr. Turner at the podium. The harvester technology was designed for stars in stable phases. She explained Antares is already in its red giant phase. Applying the harvester technology to such a star creates a cascade effect in the fusion processes. The math is clear and can be verified by your experts. She displayed complex simulations showing the projected stellar collapse and subsequent explosion. The Galactic Council's own science advisors gathered around the display, verifying the calculations with growing alarm. High Counselor Drex turned to his colleagues. The human projections appear accurate, he admitted reluctantly. This presents an unprecedented threat. Julia stepped forward again. Earth requests immediate action. She stated, "We have developed a potential countermeasure but lack the resources to implement it alone. We need the Council's help." This was the critical moment humanity had discovered the threat, but as a junior species with limited interstellar capabilities, they could not address it without support from the elder races. The political dynamics were complicated. Earth had often clashed with Council authority since achieving faster than light, travel challenging traditions and protocols that the elder species considered sacrosanct. Counselor Jen pulsed skeptically. "You discovered this threat and also conveniently have a solution that seems suspicious." Dr. Vasquez displayed a new set of technical schematics. The harvester technology operates by creating quantum resonance fields that accelerate fusion reactions. She explained, "Our countermeasure would generate an inverse field dampening the effect and allowing for safe deactivation of the device." Several Council science advisors studied the proposed technology. "The human approach is theoretically sound," confirmed the Medusan scientist. "But implementation would require precise positioning of multiple field generators within the star's corona. No existing Council ships are designed for such conditions," Julia nodded. "Earth has designed specialized drones capable of operating within stellar coronas," she said. "The prototypes have been successfully tested in our own sun. But we need Council resources to build sufficient numbers and transport them to Antares within the necessary time frame." The 7 High Counselors conferred again. This time their discussion lasted several minutes. The fate of multiple civilizations hung in the balance finally. High Counselor Zanat addressed the chamber. "The Council recognizes the severity of the threat. The Science Directorate will immediately verify the human findings and, if confirmed, implement their proposed countermeasure with full Council resources," she announced. "A joint task force will be established with human scientists working alongside Council experts." Julia felt a wave of relief, though she maintained her diplomatic composure. The Council had believed them. The combined resources of thousands of worlds would now focus on addressing the threat. The crisis might be averted. As the formal session concluded and the chamber began to empty, Julia and her team were approached by representatives from several worlds. Some offered congratulations. Others wanted technical details about the proposed countermeasure. The Arcturian ambassador, an elder statesman with centuries of diplomatic experience, spoke quietly to Julia. "You have achieved something remarkable today, Ambassador. Not only recognition of the threat, but acceptance of an Earth solution. That is unprecedented for a species so new to the galactic community." Julia nodded, acknowledging the assessment. "We came with clear evidence and a viable approach," she replied. "We did not wish to simply raise alarm, but to offer a path forward." The Grand Council chamber fell into shocked silence as the holographic display revealed the undeniable truth. Ambassador Mason Walker stood firm as thousands of alien eyes fixed upon him. The massive chamber, with its soaring architecture and ancient symbols of power, had never witnessed such a revelation. The 7 High Counselors, representing the founding species of the galactic hegemony, stared in disbelief at the evidence presented before them. "What you are witnessing," began Mason, his voice steady, "despite the tension, is a transmission intercepted by Earth sensors 27 days ago. It originated from Hegemony Central Command and was directed to the Vorax fleet in the Denari sector. The hologram showed encoded transmission data with clear Hegemony military signatures. The decryption sequence followed, revealing orders that contradicted everything the Council had publicly proclaimed. High Counselor Dreth of the reptilian Soroth rose to his full height, his scales darkening with rage. "This is fabrication," he hissed. "Earth attempts to disrupt the hegemony with falsehoods." Mason remained calm. "I understand your reaction, Counselor, but every element of this transmission has been authenticated. The quantum signature matches hegemony command protocols. The encryption uses the military Theta-class algorithm. Earth did not create this message. We merely intercepted it. The message contained explicit orders for the Vorax fleet to eliminate a newly discovered sentient species in the Denari sector. The indigenous civilization had developed primitive interplanetary travel, but posed no threat to the hegemony. The stated reason for their elimination was resource acquisition. The planets in their system contained rare elements, valuable to hegemony manufacturing. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives from hundreds of worlds shouted questions and accusations. The galactic hegemony had built its reputation on principles of peaceful cooperation and protection of developing species. The orders directly violated the most sacred tenets of the Charter of Sentient Rights, the foundation of interstellar law for 12,000 years. High Counselor Shia of the Crystalline Luminary raised her appendages for silence. The Council will have order. She commanded, her multi-toned voice cutting through the noise. We will investigate these claims. According to protocol, the evidence will be examined by independent verification teams. Mason nodded. That is all Earth asks. A fair examination of the evidence. But given the serious nature of these orders and the imminent danger to the Denari species, we request that the investigation be expedited and that all hegemony fleet movements in that sector be suspended pending the outcome. This request struck at the heart of hegemony. Sovereignty military movements had never been restricted by council vote. The 7 founding species had always maintained independent control of their defensive forces, claiming it was essential to galactic. Security Counselor Dreth leaned forward, his predatory features contorted with barely contained fury. Earth oversteps its authority. A junior member world has no standing to demand restrictions on hegemony fleet operations. This presentation is clearly a ploy to weaken our security protocols. Dr. Lyra Daniels, the lead Earth cryptographer, stepped forward from the small human delegation. With respect, Counselor, she said, our concern is not with hegemony security, but with the protection of an innocent species. The evidence suggests they have days, perhaps hours, before the Vorax fleet arrives. We intercepted this transmission while testing new deep space communication arrays. The Denari have no idea what approaches. The science advisor for the Talaxian Federation, a respected neutral power in galactic politics, approached the holographic display. I have reviewed the transmission authentication codes, he stated. They appear genuine. The quantum signature matches known hegemony patterns. More voices joined, demanding explanation. Representatives from democratic worlds expressed outrage, while those aligned with the hegemony insisted the evidence must be falsified. The council chamber, which had witnessed 12 millennia of measured diplomatic discourse, descended into near chaos. Mason watched the reaction, noting which representatives seemed genuinely shocked and which appeared unsurprised. Earth had suspected for years that the hegemony's benevolent public image masked a more aggressive reality. But gathering proof had been nearly impossible. The hegemony controlled access to most developing sectors, claiming protective responsibility. It was only through a technological breakthrough, Earth's new quantum entanglement sensors, that they had managed to intercept the damning transmission. These sensors, designed to detect communications across vast distances without traditional subspace limitations, had been developed in secret. Revealing their existence now exposed a significant Earth advantage, but Mason had no choice. The lives of billions of Denari hung in the balance. High Counselor Sia raised her crystalline form to full height. The council will recess for 2 hours, she announced. During this time, preliminary authentication of the evidence will be conducted. The High Council will then reconvene to determine appropriate action, as representatives filed out of the chamber. Mason and his team were approached by delegates from several independent worlds. The Arcturian ambassador, an ancient being whose species had remained carefully neutral in galactic politics for millennia, spoke quietly. You have disturbed the foundation stones, Ambassador, he said. Even if your evidence is proven false, which I doubt, the mere suggestion that a founding species would violate the Charter has created a fracture in the hegemony. Nothing will be the same. After today, Mason nodded solemnly. Earth did not take this action lightly. Ambassador, he replied. But we could not remain silent while an entire civilization faced extinction. The Arcturian studied him with multifaceted eyes. You humans move quickly in all things. Too quickly, some would say. You have been part of the galactic community for barely 50 years, yet you challenge structures that have stood for 12,000. Dr. Daniels joined the conversation. The age of an institution does not guarantee its virtue, she observed. Sometimes ancient systems require new perspectives to reveal their flaws. The Arcturian made a gesture that approximated a smile. Your species' directness is both refreshing and dangerous, he said. Before departing, Mason led his team to a private chamber provided for delegation discussions. The room was almost certainly monitored, but they had prepared for this using a combination of specialized jammers and carefully chosen words. Commander Rebecca Salazar, Earth's military attaché to the Council, reviewed tactical data on her secure pad. The Vorax fleet has accelerated their approach to the Denari system, she reported. They will arrive in approximately 17 hours. Not the 3 days we estimated. Mason frowned. They know we've intercepted their orders. They're moving to complete the operation before the Council can intervene. Dr. Daniel studied the transmission data. Again, looking for additional insights. I still don't understand why they would target the Denari, she said. The official report classified them as a standard Type 3 pre-industrial civilization. No unusual technology or resource development. Director Alan Peterson from Earth Intelligence leaned forward, keeping his voice low. They found something. Hegemon Command doesn't speak explicitly about it in the transmission, but there are references to special resource acquisition. Something beyond the standard rare Earth elements. They cataloged what could be valuable enough to risk exposing centuries of secret operations. Mason wondered the hegemony's careful manipulation of developing worlds had gone undetected precisely because they were selective, choosing targets in remote regions and fabricating natural disasters to explain extinctions. The secure communication console chimed, indicating a priority message from Earth Command. Mason reviewed it with growing concern. Earth long-range sensors had detected additional hegemony vessels being diverted to the Denari sector. A much larger force than would be needed for a simple extinction operation. Something's not adding up. Mason said, the resource value of the system doesn't justify this level of commitment. Director Peterson nodded grimly. My analysis suggests they found something unexpected. Something game-changing. Possibly a technological artifact, or a natural phenomenon with strategic implications. Either way, they're escalating their commitment. They'll reach Denari before any Council investigation can be organized. Mason faced a difficult choice. Earth had exposed the hegemony plot but lacked the military strength to intervene directly. Their small defense force was no match for the Vorax fleet. And while they had allies among independent worlds, none would commit to military action without formal Council approval, which would take days to secure. Dr. Daniel studied the star charts. We have one advantage, she said. The Denari system contains unusual stellar phenomena that interfere with standard faster-than-light travel. Hegemony ships will be forced to approach through specific corridors, avoiding radiation belts and gravitational distortions. Commander Salazar immediately recognized the tactical opportunity. A smaller force positioned at strategic points within those corridors could potentially delay the hegemony fleet, she observed. Not stop them, but slow their advance. Buy time for Council intervention. The risk was enormous. Such action would constitute direct military confrontation with a founding species. Eve.